Aviation geeks and frequent flyers, my name is David and welcome to beautiful Budapest, Hungary. You can see I'm all dressed up today because today we are here to do a couple of interviews with airline CEOs to get their thoughts about what's going on in the aviation industry and at their airlines. Let's get into it.
Birgir Jonsson from Play in Iceland.
Martin Gauss, I'm the CEO of airBaltic based in Latvia, Riga.
Jiří, Marek, CEO of Air Serbia.
Bjørn Larsen, I'm the CEO in Norse Atlantic Airways.
Tamur, I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Swiss International Airlines.
Merren, McArthur, CEO and President of Lynx Air.
Carey, President of WizzAir.
My name's Jandu, I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Budapest Airport.
What do you think is the single biggest challenge aviation is facing in 2023?
To prove that we are out of the crisis and that we have sustainable growth coming back without being disrupted.
Congestion and infrastructure problems at the airport, air traffic controllers and the supply chain.
I think it is the airport's ability to meet the capacity and demand from the airline and the customers.
I think after last year's, let's say, troublesome summer, that's going to be the biggest issue across many airports across Europe, is a shortage of capacity of people to support the supply chain.
I think I'd go with supply chain. I mean, you look at what happened in 2022, that's one of the biggest challenges, and while some of it is related to infrastructure, I think it's also, you think about the manufacturers, you think about the parts they need. I mean, just end to end, I think that's the biggest challenge we've got.
Very clearly, it's getting operations right for this summer. We are not out of the woods yet, and I think we cannot afford to disappoint the customer again. So getting the people from A to B in time is absolute key priority for 2023.
I think it's cost of oil.
Predictability on fuel prices.
Fuel price. So it's at record highs, highest that's been since 2008. And now it's about 30% of our cost base. So airlines have to try and recover that cost in pricing, which is not that easy.
What personally do you think is the biggest misconception about the aviation industry?
I think the biggest misconception is that we make a lot of money. We don't make a lot of money, it's very thin margins, and people think that we put prices up to gouge our customers, but really what we're just trying to do is cover our costs. It's a very expensive and complex operation, and it's not easy to make money.
It's hard to choose one, but I think the one I'd go with is that we are an unprofitable industry, and that we're bad for people, the environment, everything. I mean, we're an industry that brings so much good. You just think about all the connectivity we bring to the world of the people, cultures together. I mean, that's what excites me, and I think that's amazing what we can deliver there.
That flying is expensive, because flying is not expensive. If we look at a travel of 2,000 kilometers today, most of the time affordable below 100 euros, and you pay most of the time today more for parking and the taxi to the airport. So misconception is that flying is expensive. It is not.
That it's so easy to fix all these things that everybody sees. Why don't you do this and that? I kind of learned the hard way that it is a very complicated business and not easy to see through everything when you start here.
I think the biggest misconception is that in the eyes of a customer, we are always the one responsible for everything. So basically, whenever there is some problem, either even what was discussed today, like about the weather, let's say de-icing, airport, handling everything, in eyes of customer, it's the airline who is responsible for. And that's, I think, it's a big misconception, because we rely on very long supply chain. We are at the end, and this kind of things we need to improve.
The environmental impact. New developments in aircraft and basically the sustainable focus of the industry is really doing wonders.
Global emissions, carbon emissions, and how big an effect we are having on global emissions. Not to say any emission isn't a problem. 1% is a problem, but we are realistically as an industry 3%. It's been well researched by scientists. But my issue is that we do not have sufficient strong voices in our industry who are able to convey that message in a positive way. So as an industry, we are working more sustainably than we ever have done before. We've got targets to achieve in 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, but we're only as good as at the speed of the manufacturers providing aircraft that can get those alternative fuel capacities up to speed, so we can have commercial aviation using those. On the ground, we're doing as much as we can. We're already carbon neutral here in Budapest, and we've got a lot more work to do that we're going to stay that way going forward.
Which business model from another airline do you like?
I think there are a number of them, depending on which market you address. But if I were to pick one, I would say Ryanair in Europe.
Well, I'm a low-cost guy, so I'm looking at Ryanair, Wizz.
Well, I like WizzAir. We're in Budapest right now, and WizzAir is a sister airline of ours, also got the same investor, and they're 20 years ahead of us, so we're brand new, and they're a very successful ultra-low-cost carrier, and that's what we aim to be as well.
Ryanair or WizzAir. They are what they would call themselves as the ultra low cost model. Let's face it, a lot of consumers don't like them, but what they actually get, what you see is what you get. You buy a basic fare, then you can buy a bundle package which tells you can have a seat within that, a bag within that, and it's very clear. So I think they've gone through a level of maturity. At the beginning it was very difficult, but now they're both stable, and most consumers are very savvy enough to know what they get and what they pay for, and it still offers great value. And they've stuck to their core business models, which is probably, between them, they've been two of the most successful and most profitable airlines in Europe. So I'm full of admiration for that.
I like a lot of models. Most I like ours, airBaltics, because we combine a premium product in the business class with an ultra low cost concept in the back, flying a very new aircraft. But I also like models, for example, I would like to do a little bit more of what Air New Zealand does on the sustainability front. I think they're very good there. But I also like the ultra low cost models because they keep their cost under control. And I like a model like Swiss, where you have a real premium product long haul. So I like different elements of many, but most I like our own model.
Well, actually, I think we are the best airline group, the Lufthansa group, in the industry. So I really would rather compare us less to other airlines, but rather to other industries, and where we can learn more about customer, about retailing, about all those topics, about servicing. I think that is something where we learn even more from other industries rather than from other airlines.
We're looking on all airlines as a great competition, because being the smaller regional carrier, we are learning from everybody. Wherever we see some nice things, best practice sharing, so we're trying to incorporate into our own operation.
What value do you see in airline alliances?
Well, I think they can work, I guess, to feed, code shares, to feed traffic and marketing. But as a low-cost guy, I'm not a huge fan.
We're adopting the ultra low-cost carrier model, which doesn't really do alliances because it adds complexity.
We're not part of one, and that probably answers the questions.
The value there is for the ones who are in the alliances, that they have all that cooperation. For us in airBaltic, we are not, and we are not intending to be an alliance. Our value comes from code-share relations with global carriers, and for us that works better, but I see the value for the large carriers combining in an alliance and then having an upside for the passenger.
Being the smaller carrier, for us, always when we look in, I wouldn't call it alliances, but like rather airline partnerships, and it has to be always win-win for both parties. If you have something to offer, you have something also to gain, and more you give, more you get.
The value today, having been around for about 20 or 30, the alliances themselves, is probably in common sharing and frequent flyer programs, because we know corporate travelers, they do like frequent flyer programs and the mileage points. That's extended now into hotels and other networks. But the alliances had big visions when they started. I used to work for Star Alliance 23 years ago, so I knew what the opportunities were. But as we've seen over time, a lot of them have been watered down into more of a basic reciprocal frequent flyer program. And obviously at certain hub airports and partner airports, they support each other in terms of irregularities, but nothing more.
If you had to travel on one rival airline, which would you choose?
I would go with Ryanair.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you I do fly on Air Canada. They're a rival, but they're a different product offering, so they're not completely a rival. And they have a very good loyalty program. So yeah, I fly Air Canada.
My most favorite is All Nippon Airways.
I like to test all of them, because we need to learn also at least what we can do better. If there's something we can do better, definitely we will take something up on the service side, on how people are dealt with. I think we're learning a lot, but we have our own DNA, and I think that's very important. You have to have a very strong brand, you have to have a very strong DNA and values that you believe in.
I've been traveling on a lot. I'm actually going to travel on Virgin very soon, so that's going to be exciting. Never traveled with them before, but I've been traveling with a lot of the airlines, and there's a lot of good airlines out there.
I actually choose any airline which is available. I came here on another airline, and I don't mind. I fly on any airline in any class and enjoy it.
When did you fly economy class the last time?
I'm on Wizz. I fly almost every time, basically, economy. I mean, actually, what we like to say is all our seats are first class. So, you know, I don't know when the last time I flew economy was, but Tuesday night back from London.
I'm a low-cost guy, always economy for me.
It was, I guess, yesterday we came? Yeah, yesterday.
The last time I flew, I guess.
About a week ago, and I'm about to do it again from Budapest to Frankfurt.
Oh, only recently, because I think 3 flights ago I had my last economy class flight in Europe. Yeah, it was between Frankfurt and Zurich, actually.
Recently to within Spain, actually, from Brussels to Malaga, I think, on TUI, but I fly regular. Also on holiday in economy, while for business I try and I can fly in business class, but I have no issue flying economy.
2 weeks ago, I flew to London in economy class because for such a relatively short sector, it's not worth paying for a business class. And besides, it was WizzAir, so you fly. But then if you take their middle bundle, you get a nice extra legroom seat as well. And it was much more affordable than, let's say, the network airline that was flying on that route.
What's your favorite destination in your airline's network?
That's a very hard one because we have so many fantastic places. But if I were to pick one, and that would have to be on the other side of the pond, it would probably be Washington, D.C. It's underrated.
New York is my favorite destination. We fly to Stewart Airport in New York. Beautiful.
I think there's a city that we fly to called Kelowna, which is a beautiful little town on a lake in the mountains, and it's got wineries and it's got golf and it's got pretty much something for everyone, and it's very beautiful.
Munich, because my little daughter lives there, so that's my favorite destination.
London. I'm British, though I've lived here for 12 years. I have 2 adult daughters who grew up here with me, and they now live in London, so that's my favorite destination.
Well, actually, I don't have one favorite one. I'm shuttling a lot between Zurich and Frankfurt, and I think connecting these 2 cities in really only half an hour flight, that's a great invention of humankind, so I'm really happy about that and I'm very grateful for it.
What's your airline's most exciting development in 2023? Most exciting development in 2023?
Well, we're a brand new startup airline. We only launched in April last year, and so our first birthday is coming up in a couple of weeks, but even more exciting, we're launching our first services from Calgary to Montreal, which is a new province for us and a new destination, and we're very excited.
Our most exciting development is that we are starting to fly from London Gatwick to 7 destinations in America, effectively making us the biggest transatlantic carrier between Gatwick and the North American continent.
I mean, I think the most exciting development for me actually is how we're going to get back to delivering the basics with those supply chain challenges. So I mean, I know I could mention all the geographic growth, which is sexy, but I think for us what's really exciting is just getting back, delivering those low-cost principles that allow more customers to travel.
Well, first of all, we have made a great turnaround in 2022, so the results just announced. I think that was very important for us that our airline is again profitable. And what I'm really, really happy about is that we attract also a lot of great talent, a lot of people who are actually joining us these days. So I would say our human factor, our HR resources, that's the biggest advantage and my biggest joy that we manage still to get the best team in the industry.
Well, we are doubling the size of the airline, turnover, passenger numbers, so that's a big challenge and really exciting.
I think we are going on one of the biggest expansion in front of us. We will be opening more than 22 new destinations, and basically we will be growing over 40% year on year.
For 23, we are going for innovations each year, but this one is for sure the Starlink satellite installation, the antennas coming to all of our A220s. That will be a highlight because it's changing the travel the way we've seen it with high-speed internet access for free for everybody.
What's your airport's most exciting development in 2023?
2023, most exciting development. We're reconverting a few shops, but when it comes to the airlines themselves, we are in advanced stages for reopening a brand new, an old terminal, Terminal 1, which is the original terminal, and we want to reconfigure that to get it open for 2025. But a lot of the legwork's been done this year. We're talking to airlines, we're talking to designers, we're talking to authorities about getting the permits, and most people's recollection of flying from Hungary is from this old terminal. So the Hungarians in particular have a very romantic notion about this old building, and we're looking forward to bringing that back to life. But this year's mainly about planning.
I hope you've enjoyed this video, which is completely different than the things we usually do on our channel. But if you have any questions for a future iteration of this, to ask different airline CEOs at a future CAPA event, please let me know in the comments what you want to ask airline CEOs. And until then, make sure you subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.